Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm going to share with you a delicious recipe that's so easy to make. It literally takes almost no effort. I'm going to show you how to make my Greek lamb pot roast. Now the lamb is going to be marinated with wonderful Mediterranean herbs and spices. That's just going to take the flavor up to that next level. It's going to be refreshing, just melt in your mouth good. Really, it just takes a few steps. Just you marinate everything, put everything in the pot, and then the oven does all the work. It does not get any easier than that. Serve this with some roasted potatoes, some Mediterranean rice pilaf, or just some toasted bread and a salad, and you've got yourself a Sunday night meal made in no time. Let's go over the ingredients, and then we're gonna get started. We're gonna need some olive oil, dried oregano, some shallots, or you can use a big onion if you don't have shallots, some carrots, ground cumin, salt, black pepper, fresh mint, fresh rosemary, lots of garlic cloves, some red wine vinegar, and I have a boneless leg of lamb here. So I'm using boneless leg of lamb because that's easy for me to find, but you can use a shoulder of lamb. You could even use bone-in, cut up pieces of lamb. Whatever you have will work for this recipe. Just make sure to trim off as much of the fat as you can. We're just going to begin with making the marinade, which is so simple, and that's where all the flavor is at. I'm going to grate all of the garlic, and I'm even going to throw the tips in because this is going to roast really nice and slow, and they're literally going to melt. Okay, now I'm going to add some olive oil and about 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. I'm just going to take all of the mint leaves off of the stems, and then I'm going to finely chop them. I'm going to add the chopped mint to the marinade. I'm also going to add a couple of teaspoons of dried oregano. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of cumin powder and some black pepper. And I'm just going to mix this all up. And just like that, the marinade is ready. We're just going to pour it over the lamb. And I'm going to season it with some salt on both sides. And I'm going to toss it a couple of times so that way the marinade is just distributed throughout the lamb. You want to take all of those herbs and just put it on the inside of the lamb because we're just going to roll this up. And you don't want to lose any of that flavor. Now, of course, you can marinate this overnight in the refrigerator or for about 3 to 4 hours. Now I'm just going to tie this up with some butcher's twine. Nothing fancy. You just want 2 to 3 strings just to hold it together so that way it cooks evenly. And I'm just going to cut off the excess string. So now I'm just going to brown the lamb all around on all sides for about 3 to 4 minutes or until it's nice and golden. I have my pot heating over medium-high heat, and I'm going to add a few tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm going to save all of these lamb juices because they're going to go back in before it goes in the oven. While the lamb is browning, I'm going to just peel the shallots. Okay, so once the lamb is nice and brown on all sides, you're just going to pop all of the shallots, the peeled shallots, into your pot. And you can turn the heat off because now this is going to go into the oven. You can put the carrots down here, the rosemary, 2 sprigs of rosemary. Rosemary adds such nice flavor. And then I'm going to add some water. I just rinsed out the same container that I made the marinade in. I'm going to put the lamb on top. And then whatever marinade is left in the pan that we marinated the lamb in, that's going to go in too. So I'm going to put the lid on top. The oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. This is going to bake in there low and slow, or I should say this is going to braise in there low and slow for about 2.5 to 3 hours or until it's really nice and soft and just falling apart. I'll show you what it looks like as soon as it comes out. But before we go, I just want to say you should keep an eye on it because if it needs a little bit more liquid, you can add 1/2 to 1 cup more as it cooks. So after about 45 minutes, go in and check it. And if it needs more liquid, go ahead and add it. I will show you what it looks like as soon as it's done. So the lamb pot roast is ready. It braised in the oven for 2.5 hours. You could leave it in there all the way up to 3 hours. It is literally falling apart. It is so tender. The shallots are almost melting. The carrots are perfectly tender and just good, ready to be served. You can go ahead and serve this as is. Take the whole pot to the table. I think it looks rustic and very pretty. Serve it with a nice salad, some toasted bread, and maybe just whatever your favorite side is. You can do roasted potatoes, any mixed roasted vegetables. You could do a Mediterranean rice pilaf, some couscous. The sky's the limit, some pasta, whatever you want. However you do it, make sure you make this and you serve it. I'm going to go in and take a little bite. comfort food at its finest. That rosemary is really shining in this dish. It just freshened everything up. It tastes so good. The lamb is just literally melting in my mouth. Seasoned perfectly. It just tastes amazing. This simple dish is perfect for a main course, even for a holiday get-together, or for a nice family-style lunch or dinner. The recipe can be printed on my website, www.dimitrasdishes.com. Let me know in the comment section if you guys have any special requests of whatever you want to learn how to make. I'll fit it onto my list, and maybe I'll do that next. You never know. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.